Okay, so I'm going to do a quick scrub through. So that pops up first, and then productions will go down after, correct? Okay, or at the same time. Okay, I'm going to hit the U key, find my keyframes. There's your fog. Okay, here we go. Abstract. Oh, and you got it locked, so I'll unlock it. That's where that's going to start. So productions, right here. That's locked. Okay, here we go. Hit U. Okay, so I'm just using my previous and next to line up perfectly with it. And this is where we're going to end up. So I'm going to work backwards by going to my previous. Make sense? I always go, when I'm doing logos, I lay it out, then I animate backwards. So everything lands exactly where I want it to. So I'm going to have this move up to above that imaginary horizon. So that's going to happen. Got it? Like such? Okay, now, first trick, we got to mask it. So let's find that horizon. The imaginary horizon, there is no box for it. So Command-Shift-A, deselect all. I've got nothing selected. I'm going to draw a box. Zoom out. There we go. There's my box. And I'm going to hit the Enter key to name it. Matte. All right. Good. So you've got a little bit of an intro to masking things. I'm going to use an alpha matte for this. Matte goes above, like you put a mask on your face. The mask is over your face. The matte is over what you're masking. So my matte layer right here is over top of the word productions. Good so far? I'm in my modes. You want to be in your modes? Remember right here, here's toggle switches and modes. These are switches. These are modes. So I go not to my blending modes, which we discussed tonight. I'm going to track matte, the next column. And I'm going to choose an alpha matte because it's going to say the shape of that box. So now it's masked perfectly because I found that horizon line. Make sense to you? The shape, what we said, that matte, see the shape right here? Using it as an alpha matte, we're saying only what's inside here will be visible. So you see how you don't see the top of the letter P? That's how the matte works. What's inside there is visible. It's like when you did a mask and you chose add, that's saying what's inside this mask is visible. If you did subtract, it's saying what's inside the mask is invisible. So this alpha matte is saying what's in that box is visible. Now, does it make sense? Yeah, no problem at all. Now, let's get fancy. I'm going to hit S for scale on the word productions. Or let's try this. I'm going to right click, transform. I'm going to try flip vertical. So now when it comes down, it's like it's cast a reflection. Make sense? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, I always do a save as when I'm making major changes. And plus this way I can share it with you. So that's the first step. We said, hey, we got the text. It's moving the way we want. We masked it out with an alpha matte. What's inside that box is visible. What's outside the box is invisible. Okay. We're good there. Now, the ocean. Okay, that's right here. And there's the word productions. All right, good. So I'm assuming you're going to want everything below this point to ripple like the water. Okay, so remember, when you want multiple layers to be affected by an effect, what should you use? Perfect. Yep. And to get an adjustment layer, you go layer, new, adjustment layer. So everything below this will be affected. So I'm going to put it above the word productions. Okay, like that. Yeah, well, that's good thinking. All right, so I believe the effect we liked was ripple. So I'm just going to throw ripple on the adjustment layer, and let's increase the radius. See, now it's very ripple looking. And we can say the wave speed. Let's try a slow one first, 0.5. Wave width. See right here how the water is a little bit too much. If I make it a bit wider, it'll help your legibility. See what I mean? Weave height. That's going to be like how strong, more or less, it is. All right, now abstract. Looks like it's getting hit with it. No, it's not. That's funny. See what this looks like. We'll make sure the moon and the stars. I don't want the moon below that adjustment layer. All right, so let's take a look. We got the stars and the dark sky. Oh, wait a second. I've got a thought here. It just hit me. I'm going to put a mask on the adjustment layer so it only hits the horizon line. Yep, we both got the same thing at the same time. Very good. See, now you're starting to think like a motion designer. All right, now I'm going to line that up more accurately. Right there. Now you're cooking. So you can fine tune your adjustments here. You get to look how you want. And we can make the waves a little smaller if you want. See, just like that. That's the first part of it. Another thing you like, so I'm going to hit save. You with me so far on this? Okay. So this is great because you got to use a mask and an alpha matte. And you see the pros and cons of both of them. The mask we used on the adjustment layer because, you know, it's just faster and easier. All right, now we're going to want to fade this into it. So, you know, it's going to fade off a little bit before it hits the viewer's eyes. So let's try this. We're going to use, so an alpha matte works off of alpha, you know, the positive and negative space. Luma mattes work off of light and dark values. So I'm going to create another matte shape. You know what? I'll just duplicate this one. Where's our matte? Right here. I'm going to do Command D, put it above. Let's make sure that, yep, see, it's still working fine. This one I'm going to call Luma Matte, so we're not confused. You good? And we're going to click the word fill and give it a gradient fill, a linear gradient. Turn it on so we can see it. And let's edit that gradient. You know what? We're doing it the right way. We've got a solid. You with me? Shape layer selected, selection arrow. Now I can get to the add. From add, I'm going to add a gradient fill. Now that I've got my gradient fill, look what we can do. We can do it the right way, the easy way. You know what I mean? So let's say this. So white may be visible and black may be invisible, so we'll have that feathered fall off. So we'll just find out. When we get into mattes and masks, one thing you need to know about mattes, a matte is one layer revealing one layer. Got it? That's always the golden rule. One layer revealing one layer. Well, we've got our matte layer and the word productions layer. So what do we need to do to make those two layers one layer? Begins with the letter P. You get to it by right-clicking with them selected. Yes, see, I knew you'd get there. We're going to pre-compose our matte and the word productions, and I'm going to call this productions PC, pre-comp. Move all attributes, click OK. Now we've turned those two layers to one layer, and we can use our Luma Matte over top of that pre-comp. Got it? So I'm going to try Luma Matte, and let's see if we get that nice fall off. Let's adjust our gradient. Let's move this up a bit. take a look at it. Okay, so if we Luma invert, it's getting darker towards it. So it is Luma Matte. See that difference? So we do have to move this up more, add more black to it. One sec. So I'm going to drag this up like that. This should help moving the white point. There we go. See, now you're getting that softened look. Now let's look what happens when I keep the Luma Matte active. See how now I get a live preview? That right there, that fall off of light and focus, that's what's going to really make this pop. We added depth to it by doing that. All right. Liking that. I'm going to hit save. I can share that file with you. It's come along nicely. Any other questions? No, I'm just kidding. That is called a shift tilt effect. You can get to, so you want to make it look like it's got perspective, right? Okay, so you don't want to shift tilt, you want perspective. Okay, I get you. Well, this works, but let's play around. I'm going to right click, transform. I guess there's that. We could try corner pin. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to throw a corner pin on here. And it'll give me a series of pins. Watch what happens when I drag them. It's distorting that. So I can say, zoom out a little bit. If I grab this pin, see, now I'm going to start shearing it like that. You could also distort it a little bit more by dragging it out. So now things don't line up so much. You could always just click on it up here in your effects, hit delete, you're back to where you started. You know what I mean? Another thing we can do is, if you need to fine tune that line, you can double click in here. And then that matte, we'll move it up 2 clicks. Nope, I don't like that, so I'm going to put it back down too. That's good. Let me think. What else could we do? You could do a blur map so it gets a little soft on the edges if you wanted. So what you can do for that is, we got our, I'm going to duplicate the Luma Matte one more time. And I'm going to edit the gradient. I'm going to give it a radial gradient this time. So there's a gradient fill, linear. I'm going to make it radial. See? Oops. I do the same thing. Drag my handles. Like that. Okay? Now, I'm going to call this one blur map. Gotcha. What's the number one thing I said for getting effects to work a little better right off the bat? Helps resolve bounding box issues, things like that. Nah, you right click. Yes. We're going to pre-compose this. Let's put PC at the end for pre-comp. I'm going to move all attributes. Hit OK. Now I can turn this off. There's our word productions right there. So here I'm going to try camera lens blur on our pre-comp. Okay. Oh, we're not done yet. Blur map. We're going to use our blur map right there. I'm going to use effects and mask. And we can adjust the blur. So look at what's happening here. What this is telling me is I need to invert this. So what's black is in focus, what's white is out of focus. Got it? Well, doing that would hide some things, but for here, so we said black is in focus. So we want it to be black by the edges. I mean, we want it to be white by the edges and black in the middle. How can we get that to work? Let's edit the gradient. Oh, watch this. Okay, so we got this, right? So I'm going to click edit gradient. Instead of starting white and ending black, I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to start black and end white. Bring this down a little like this. So now let's see what happens. You ready? Go here. Let's lower the amount of the blur because that was way too high. Let's make it a little bit more subtle. See, now you've got your sharp focus here, and then you're losing it out there. So clicking the word FX will always turn it off or turn it on. See how it gives that little extra little bit of detail? Subtle little things like that are what's going to help your work stand out. So, you know, we just had to figure out which direction this map worked. Black in focus, white out of focus. So then we adjusted the range of it. You could go in and, you know, just drag your handles, get it to look the way you want. And then lastly, it was how strong that effect is right there. Anything else you wanted to try with this? Let's try one more thing while I'm here. Here's the word abstract. Okay, good. Let me try one thing. I'm right clicking to go to layer styles just to try something. Is that bevel? See the difference? Adds a little bit more depth. Plus, since you've got your light effect, it adds that little bit of interactiveness with it. That's just something to think on. Well, it's just adding some shading to it as is. Now, what you might want to try, we could keep that bevel on there for now, and we could try satin. Let's do, so it's layer styles, satin. Or inner shadow. Let's try inner shadow first. And what we'll do is we'll try and animate that. Here's your inner shadow. And then here's your angle. Oops. think satin would be easier to animate. So distance. Okay, all right. Hold up. Let's hide the bevel. Actually, the bevel was, I like that rim light. Let's up the size a little bit. See now? Okay, so the distance is doing that. We could just animate that. Okay, so that will work. There we go. Okay, all right. So when it's behind, watch, this is where it's passing through the front, right here. So I'm gonna go that opacity, do it forward, step down. And then as it gets closer to the front, make it even brighter. As it starts going to the side, make it a little darker. As it goes around the back. Let's take a look at that. And that's just, I'm just showing you ways you can play around with it. But changing that light on that effect, the bevel automatically gave it that rim light, which looked good. Then adding that shadow and animating it so that it gets brighter as the light is closer to the camera really helps sell it too. I mean, look at the difference in contrast there. Well, like you're saying, now you've got that rim light. You've got some contrast between the dark. And you could even do the same effect on the reflection in the water too, if you wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was thinking already, yeah.
And you've got the keyframes. They would match perfectly. You just apply that layer style. You can copy and paste it, and it'll work as well. Just copy and paste the layer style. Should keep your keyframes, and everything will time perfectly to it. So Brandon, what we did was we put a bevel on the top abstract text. Then we put an inner shadow, right? It was inner shadow. So watch, as the light goes around, the text gets brighter. Like that. And then as it passes fully by, it gets brighter, and then it gets darker again, like such. It's just little things like that, turning a flat layer. I mean, because this is all light-based and playing off of that. So you could always grab these two, Command-C to copy. Go in here, Command-V to paste. And your keyframes will match up. Dark, then they get brighter. You know what? That's probably, I'm going to hit undo. And instead, I'm going to paste them on the pre-comp. They're dark. Let's see what happens here. Why did that not work? Let's just undo. It must be because, okay. It's because of the Luma Matte. So let's try this. One more time. We're going to pre-compose all this together. And I'll call this Productions for Light VFX. Move it all to a new comp. Now I'm going to paste it onto there. There's our dark text. Does it get brighter? No, it does not. Okay, so I'll just undo those last two steps. That is weird. Maybe you can figure out why that's going on with that, but the rest of it's working pretty nicely. Any other questions? Okay, now I don't even know what you did your stars. You keep telling me that, but I don't believe you. Is it the sky? Oh, stars. Okay. Okay. I'm going to solo this by clicking right there. This way I don't have to wait for the lights to render and all that. Got it? I think the flickering could have looked fast because of the low preview quality. Let's find out if that's what did it. No, okay. So this is behaving itself. Is it another layer? It's still not flickering. I don't know what's causing that. Like I'm saying, maybe it was the low resolution causing that to happen. And then your sky, let's see. Okay, they are flickering a little. See, as I scrub the playhead. But what is causing that? Like, I'm gonna hit U for your sky. There's no keyframes. Dark sky, no keyframes. Stars. Okay, so there's this effect. We'll turn that off. Okay, so that's that. Scatter, speed, phase. I think it's your phase. I'm gonna try 0. 0. That's weird. Oh, wait, let me try this. Recompose this. All right. So I pre-composed that, okay? So that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to try a time effect. I'm going to go, you don't want them to flicker, right? Okay, so I'm going to time stretch. Now here's what we're going to look for. This duration says 10 seconds. So if I slow it down half, it should say 20 seconds. So if I go 50, I sped it up double. Do you see how it went from 10 to 5? So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go 200. Now it's half the speed. So I'm going to try 400, and it's going to be 1/5, well, 25% of the speed, or 1/4 of it, I mean. So now I scrub through. Let's slow it down a little bit more. So let's time stretch. Let's try 700. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to render this to see if it still flickers. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way to know for sure. And this is a little preview of rendering. So make sure you have the right composition selected. See how you got multiple ones? The one you want to render, make sure it's selected. Then make sure your render bars are the full length you want them to be, you know, at the beginning and end. So then you're good. Always save before you render. Composition, add to render queue. Sometimes going to Media Encoder will completely wreak havoc. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna leave it at high quality and I'm just gonna call this test and I'm gonna convert this when we're done. So it's set up here. And then lastly, I just hit render. So I kept it high quality. I clicked here to say what it's gonna be called, to name it and where it's gonna go. Lastly, hit the render button and it's gonna render in the background. While this is rendering, I'm going to open up Media Encoder so I can turn it into an H.264. Okay, so not all computers can play MOV files. It's like an Apple type thing. So when you convert it, if you make it H.264, it'll play on a Mac, it'll play on a PC, it'll compress the file a little bit. It'll still look good, but the file size will be smaller. So it's a faster upload, it's faster to share with clients and, you know, people. H.264. I'll show you how to get there in a second. Media Encoder. Adobe. Media Encoder. And see how much faster it's rendering than if we tried to render it in there because it was just too intense. It's already baked into After Effects, so you should already have it. If not, you can download it from Creative Cloud. But 99% sure you already have it. And I'll show you how to use Encoder to convert it once it's done rendering, which won't be too much longer. So I clicked on Media Encoder to open Media Encoder. Usually takes a couple minutes to open, and it's open. So back in the render queue, I'm going to clear it out. So I click on the composition we just rendered and hit the delete key on my keyboard. I'm going to save the file. All right, everyone ready for Media Encoder? So here we are in Media Encoder. All you got to do, click this plus right here underneath the word queue. Go to where you saved your thing. This is why it pays to make sure you remember what you called and know where it went. So I grab the file. By default, H.264, what we want. High bitrate, that's going to be less compressed. That's good. And this is where it's going. And that's where I want it to go. Even if it's got the same name, the fact that it's a different file file type, it won't overwrite the original because it's going to be .mov and .mp4. Got it? So it's all good. H.264, high bitrate. If it's not this, just do the little drop-down arrows to change it. Got it? And when everything's looking good, you just click the green play button. And since we already rendered the file, this will go pretty quickly because it's just compressing it. It doesn't have to go through all the math that After Effects did to create it. And it's done. So same thing. Click on there. Hit delete on my keyboard, and now I can just minimize it by clicking the yellow circle. So now let's see what happened to that star field because we'll be able to watch it in real time right here. So I double click to open it, and we're going to pay attention to the stars, see how quickly they flicker. Here we go. Full screen. Oh, I'm just making full screen first. Stars have a little bit of speed to them, but it's not super overpowering. We could slow it down even more if you want. But I mean, it's looking really slick. Is this your first time seeing it? Isn't it rewarding to see your work? Yeah, it looks great. I mean, I'm loving it. Well, you had the concept, you had the art. I just showed you things. Like, I just put some layer styles on it. You made that art. I just said, hey, let's play off of the light and shadow here. That's the beauty of, having time. So this was a little fast. I'm going to drop down our preview resolution. That's number 1. Yeah, that's the name of the game. Okay, so I've got some thoughts and I want to see what's going to work. You ready? So let's do it this way. I'm going to unlock everything. I'm going to save. This may work, may not work. Don't know. But if it does, it'll look pretty cool. Come on. We could try and parallax this. But I'm not sure that'll work because of the text and all that. So no, we should not parallax it. Let's work on those stars. I mean, you could give me all night and I have no answer for you why they're moving. I mean, like, if we look at it like this, they're not. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, scatter's right here. Oh yeah, starburst. I'm sorry. Yes, there's the scatter to it. So what if we push down more? So if we increase that scatter to 400, that's the weird thing. Is why are we not seeing it move? You know what I mean? That's the troubling thing. So that number was 132. Okay, I'm going to try 400. Okay, we'll see less of them, but see, look, it's moving again. What is causing that? Oh, you know what? Wait a sec. Let's see something here. Let's turn off the fog. It's still doing it. Okay, so it's none of those. Now, here's a little trick. If you don't want to render out the whole thing and you don't have the time, you could use your render bars. So we could say, like right around here, we saw a bunch of flicker, like right there. So I could drag my in point and my out point, and I'll only render this 1 second. So it'll render 1/10 as fast. You know what I mean? Like, so, well, I mean, it'll render 10 times faster because we're only rendering 1/10. So we got that. Let's take a look before we dive into that. There's the exposure, there's the top, okay, there's the lighthouse, there's the moon. Adjustment layer has the ripple, which is the water. And was that working good? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's working. Stars reflection. Did we resolve it tonight? But you know what? Let me try something. This is just for fun and games. Okay. I'm going to duplicate. Well, no, wait. I'm going to copy it. So I hit Command C to copy. You ready? Paste. And then S for scale. Now let's try flip horizontal. Let's see. Transform. Flip vertical. That's what we wanted. Why are we not seeing that reflection? Oh wait, let me pre-compose these. Okay, now we're seeing the dark reflection. hit undo. It'd be cool if we had a little bit of the lighthouse in there. You know what I mean? Doing the same thing, like getting darker, fading out. That'd be a nice touch. Yeah. Oh wait, there's multiple layers of stars. Hold up. See what I mean? Yeah, that's part of it too. So here's the star's eye slow down, okay? The ones in the reflection are cutting all the way up to the sky. So let's do, here's our adjustment layer, M for mask. Let's copy that mask, paste it on there. Still not all the way up. Why is that doing that? Let's undo the mask. It looks like you did a gradient fill on that layer. So I switched it to a Luma Matte. And you see how now we have less stars in the sky? Okay, so what I'm going to do is these stars, we did a scatter of 400. So these stars will spread out to 400, so there's less. So that number was 80. So I'm going to render this part. If we like it, I'm just saving this as 2. You know what I mean? So again, composition, add a render queue. Test 2. See if that fixes it. Let's take a look at that render. Hit the plus button right there. H264, high bit rate is good. This is where it's going. That's what it's called. Hit the green arrow. And let's check it out. So I'm going to hit the delete key, get rid of that. Go to my render queue. Select my comp. Hit the delete key, get rid of that. Hit save. Here's test 2. Now your stars are behaving. That looks much better. What do you think? Looks more deliberate. There's some minor stuff to it, but that's good. It's a bit more refined. So I'm going to give you both work files so you can sleep on it and see what you like between the 2 changes. Yep. Coming along nice. Really like it. It's one of those things where it's like, if you've got something clean and simple and all the elements come in at the right time and the pacing and it works, that's stronger than trying to do something overly complex that you don't execute well. So this is for Warner Brothers Independent. I'll slow this down. So they faded out the other opacity, which we know. There's going to be a trim path coming up. With the red. So they're introducing a new color. That's a linear wipe up with a feather to it. See? Right here, there's 2 ways they did it. Either they got a stroke that was perfectly fit, or this is an alpha matte. And this is one piece, that's a second piece, this is the third piece. This third piece is in the back. The alpha matte is the cleanest way to do it. So this is an alpha matte with that red coming up in it. Does that make sense? We just looked at alpha mattes, and right here you can see it fading out as we get to that, and that logo resolves itself there. So before, that was solid, and then they do the WI Warner Independent. So this is very slick, very polished, perfectly done, clever. You know, you don't have to overdo it sometimes. And a quick reminder, every now and again, go edit, purge all memory and disk cache. I used up 46 gigs of space tonight teaching class. Usually at the end of my workday, I've got over 90 gigs. Sometimes I clear it out multiple times during the day, depending on how heavy my workflow is.